What's up, everyone? Welcome back. This is lesson number 2. Lesson number 1, if you didn't catch it, is up here. Boom! And it tells you about which grip technique that you should choose. I at least hope it helps, bring some clarity to something that you're doing with your technique. In this video, I'm going to be talking about proper striking technique and how it feels and looks when you hit the shit right, okay? So, one of the first things I wanted to teach when I got started doing drum lessons, the grip strength is going to help you understand not only which style feels appropriate, but it's going to help you to mechanically build the muscle memory you need to be able to, how people play air guitar? It's the same thing. You want to be able to play air drums, period. And you want to be able to move anywhere you need to go playing air drums without interruption, without having to think about it. So I'm going to teach you 2 different striking techniques. One is going to be, 3 different, I should say. One is going to be snare striking technique. One is going to be tom-tom striking technique. And the other is going to be cymbal striking technique. And then I guess if we really wanted to add in a 4th flavor, we'll add in beat striking and accenting and stuff, if you guys get a little froggy. So the most important thing is when choosing your grip is to understand the motion in which the grip actuates the stick towards the head. All right, if you're using it like Mulligan Technique or any of that stuff, he teaches to take it very slow and to bring your wrists to the 90 degree and to strike it down and to use a combination elbow and wrist motion. And what this does is if you over accent your note, it will teach that muscle memory to do that when you get up to speed, because speed does not come without technique first. So the Mulligan Technique teaches to accent that first note, right? And each note, 1, da, 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 da. So proper striking based on this technique for just basic single strokes would look something like this. And that's for the snare. That's something that because the snare head is going to be a lot tighter than your tom heads. So with the tom heads, you're going to have to accent it a lot more with your wrists, and it's going to look like a really flashy, flowy motion. So learn to really accent those notes on the snare, and I promise you, you will have a much better time. It's going to sound more fluid. The decay in between each note will bleed into each other like it's supposed to, and you're just going to have a better time. It's awesome. So proper tom-tom technique then is going to be essentially the same thing, but the goal here is you're wanting to turn your wrists down a little bit to where the 90 degrees moves up. So instead of being here and the 90 degrees being here, it's going to be more like everything is forward because your toms are going to be here and you're still bringing it to the same arc, which is why it looks like the sticks are moving less, but they're really not. I promise you, they're really not. They're moving the same 90 degrees as they would be moving here. All right? So practice this, and it's going to look something like this. Definitely the way to go. Definitely helps keep everything fluid. And if you really learn to accent those first notes, the physics of the entire rest of the roll just comes naturally. I'm telling you. Speed comes with good technique. So I love that, and I hope you guys benefit from this lesson. One of the last things I'm going to teach you here is proper cymbal accenting and technique. Obviously, it's going to be a different something for the hi-hats versus the ride cymbals, versus the, something you can hit a little bit harder like a crash or even a china. All right, but a basic synopsis, you have 2 types of strokes with the hi-hat. You have the top stroke and you have I think what they call a choke stroke, and it's from the side of the stick, all right? A lot of metal uses half open choke strokes to fill in because there's a lot of distortion in the guitars, a lot of metal. So you definitely want to add a lot of drum mids in there to fill everything out in your music. But a lot of jazz uses the the top of the stick, and it gives it that real crisp. So your hi-hat technique is going to vary based on what style of music you're going to be playing. But I will tell you, it does help to practice both. It really helps to practice both, because if you practice both, it's just like having more ammunition in your tool belt. You're going to be better every time. And the same rules apply with your crash cymbals, that you can hit a little bit harder. You don't necessarily hit those with the tip of your stick. You hit them with the choke of the stick, the side. Bam! And you want to actually give it a nice solid punch, right? So if you're doing triplets, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, and on the end of the measure, boom, which sounds something like this. You really want it to punch, boom, boom. So you can hit it a little bit harder, and the physics of that rebound will come back in your hand. And naturally, your wrists will get to the point where they do their own rebounds. This is all technique that only takes about a month to 6 months to build. Anybody can do it. I love it. And the same rules apply when you're hitting your ride cymbal. I have seen a lot of jazz musicians hit the ride cymbal with the choke of the stick. I don't know if I like that, just because this is such a brittle cymbal. I like it for the accenting. It's very, very good for that. So, and in metal, you're gonna hear stuff like thrash beats. Do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, do that. You really want those thrash beats to accent, and that only comes from proper technique being built, which sounds something like this. So you really want to accent those individual notes, the down and the up. That's just one of the hallmarks of metal. So I hope you guys have learned something from this series. Last but not least, that china, you could smack that shit with a kitchen sink and hit it any way that you want. It's always going to sound good. My one piece of advice, don't turn it over. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay? I love you guys. And if there's anything I can do, any suggestions for future lessons or anything, leave them down in the comments. But I'll see you guys later.